Hey guys, what's up? This is The Blade, aka Austin Dice, aka Austin Grace, wherever you guys want to call me. Um, you guys will know something right away that I managed to get the channel name changed to The Blade. So I'm really happy about that. That's pretty freaking dope. Um, but I may need to change it back to my name because I'm not sure how it's going to affect my Google account. But I'll have to. Um, we'll just see how it goes. But for right now, I got a change I've been wanting to make to this channel for a while, so I'm gonna roll with it. And now I can finally say on the blade, as opposed to YouTube, I can finally start to present this the way that I'd like to. So that's gonna be really dope. And and if you guys are wondering, this is just a quick, fast update video for July 22nd, 2019. Last video that I gave you guys was the 1 Gbps episode where I covered my switching to the Pixel 3, and people have asked me more about the Pixel 3. I actually got a message on Audio Games about that, and I really want to take this video and kind of cover that a bit more in depth. I was an iPhone user for, 9 years? Yeah, 9 years, because I got my iPhone 4 in, gosh, what was that? August 2010, I want to say. It was the iPhone 4 on AT&T, and back then, AT&T was the only carrier that carried the iPhone. I actually had forgotten about that, but Apple had that exclusivity for 3 years with Singular, aka AT&T. But even by the time the iPhone rolled out, they were kind of away from Singular, if I recall correctly. Well, you know what? While we're talking about the whole iPhone thing, why don't I give you guys a history on my cell phone usage? Why don't we do that? I'm gonna call this the Impromptu 1 Gbps show. That's what we're calling this. We're actually, speaking of the Pixel 3, I'm coming to you live from it right now. As a matter of fact, this video is being shot on this Pixel 3, and so yeah, Pixel 3 is an awesome phone, man. I'm just gonna say it. I've had it for 2 months, and I've not wanted to throw it. I've not sat here thinking, oh man, this isn't accessible. It's very rare that that's happened. My biggest thing that kept drawing me to Android was customization, and that's something iOS slowly but surely is getting better at. It still isn't where I personally would like it to be. But Android, I've always been able to use Eloquence, which is a speech synthesizer. That was a speech synthesizer you all heard speaking in the last video. That is Eloquence, and it's been around for, I couldn't tell you. I think it's since the 80s or 90s. Somebody please comment and let me know when Eloquence came out, because I'm trying to figure that out. I think it was the mid 90s is when they really got it finalized. It's speaking of Eloquence, I've actually been using Eloquence since 1998, when, oh gosh, what convention? I think it was the ACB convention was here in Orlando in 98, or was it NFB? I can't remember, but I got, oh gosh, what JAWS version was that? 98. Was it 3. Oh gosh. It may have been 3.0 or 3.5. I really can't remember off the top of my head. But that's the first time I personally played with Eloquence. So yeah, I've been using Eloquence since 1998. I love it. I do love, the Alex voice on the iPhone and those kind of voices, but Eloquence has always been my go-to. It's gotten to the point where my Eloquence is at 80%. Hopefully gonna get it to 85. So that's the goal. By the end of this year, listen to my Eloquence at 85% of the rate. And it's always so funny. I'm sure some of you all may have gotten this as well, but people, they always are very interested when they hear my phone talking and how fast it talks. And I think it's fun. I love it. I love educating people on myself, how as a blind person, how I do things. Some people find it annoying. I love it. And this is why I always say, how are you going to know something unless if you ask questions? So it's always a lot of fun when somebody asks me a question about something. It's an education opportunity, and that's how I have to approach it. So just to let you guys know, this video is gonna be very rambly. I'm just all over the road right now, but I want to get on YouTube and make a video here. So, excuse me. So, needless to say, I've been using Eloquent since '98, and on this Android phone, I was able to use it. That's where I was going with that, and so yeah, and obviously I use Eloquence on the computer with NVDA, as you guys have heard. So yeah, so it's to the original point. My first accessible cell phone was the LG. Oh gosh, VX 4500, I believe it was called. Um, yeah, VX 4500, and it was sold by Verizon, and it was a flip phone of all phones. That was the only flip phone I ever owned. I love that flip phone. That thing was so dope. It's like a call comes in. It's like, oh, let me flip open my phone to answer this call. And when your call is done, some people they'd slam it shut. They'd be like, ugh. But me, I just close my phone regular. I like to take care of my phones. Thank you very much. You know, so I missed my flip phone. That thing was pretty freaking dope. I thought I was the man because I could read my caller ID. Granted, it could not read text messages. You couldn't do that. The accessibility support was very rudimentary, and that's being generous when I say rudimentary. So, basically, what would happen is, the phone, it would read the main menu to you. It would tell you, like, what was it, like settings or contacts or calendars or things like that. These phones were very basic back then. So it would read that to me. But once I got into the second row of settings or the nesting of settings, it didn't read it. So I had to memorize everything. I was like, I would memorize how to set my ringtones. And, I'd even ask my dorm parents, even back at FSDB, to help me read the menu. Because I was like, I want to operate my phone like everybody else. Just because I'm blind doesn't mean nothing. And then some of you might remember this, and then I figured out you could hit 1, 2, or 3 to go to a certain setting on those old Verizon phones, and I figured that trick out, and I was like, oh, okay, this is dope. But it was cool, because I could save my own contacts to my address book. Well, my first cell phone was it was a bar-style phone, and I couldn't use the address book, so I had to memorize my numbers that I wanted to call. It was pretty crazy. I had everybody's number memorized back when, so yeah. There was a point when blind people like us couldn't even access our address book. So technology has come a long way. This isn't, this isn't, oh, this isn't one of those blindness videos, like, hey, look at my blindness. This is just me thinking back and realizing how far we've come with technology. So, just gonna clear that up, because, some people, how they are. Anyway, so yeah, the LG, it could read the caller ID, it could read me at the time, it read the battery out to me, but in 25% increments. So, if it said 100%, I was like, okay, I kind of had to estimate in my head. So once it said something like 50, I was like, okay, I gotta be mindful of the phone. But back then I used to get 3-4 days off the battery. And then obviously when I was at school, I'd leave it in the dorm. I hated to carry my cell phone with me because I didn't want nothing to happen to it and could get in trouble with it in school. So I was like, no, I was a goody goody back then, if y'all could believe it. I hated getting in trouble, so that was, so that's why I kept the cell phone in the dorm room. But after that LG, I went to Singular, excuse me, and I got myself a Nokia 9300 phone, and that ran a Symbian. Can't remember the number. Yeah, so the Nokia 9300, it ran Symbian, and it was an interesting form factor. If you guys can recall to the phones where it was like a clamshell. I guess it was kind of a flip phone if you think about it, but it would open and it would reveal a keyboard. So it was interesting. It would, the front of it looks like your old Nokia phone, and then you open it, and it would, it would be the Symbian interface. It was, but this talk screen reader actually had access to the Symbian interface only. So it was interesting. But yeah, that phone had eloquence. That's that's when I really got into texting and things of that nature. Nokia 9300, what a great phone. I miss that phone. I wished I could have kept it, but I don't remember what happened to it. I think I lost it, or maybe I sold it. I don't remember. But yeah, and then so it was Nokia 9300, and then the Motorola Q with mobile speak on it, and I can't remember what voice I used back then. I think it was like LaQuento or something, because there wasn't any eloquence on Windows Mobile, surprisingly, which really sucked. But yeah, I used Windows Mobile for what, like 2 years or something? Yeah, 2 years from 2008 2010. This was the old Windows Mobile, bear in mind. Um, it was, it was like what people were running on their PDAs back then. So, back then the phones were like $400 or $500 out of pocket. So I had that, and then I had a couple of the HTC phones. I think it was like the Fuse, and then the Touch Pro 2. And I back then the HTC phones were terrible back then. Oh my goodness, I had the worst luck with those phones. I think I went through like two tilts in like a 3 month period. It was crazy. Like the storage memory filled. It actually failed on my first tilt, and then the second one, it lasted me until I got the Touch Pro 2, which, man, that Touch Pro 2, man, boy, I don't know if it was AT&T's customizations, but boy, that phone was rough, man. Ugh, that's what made me switch to iPhone, man. The that Tilt 2 made me switch to the iPhone. I was like, okay, I gotta check out this whole iPhone thing, and I switched to the iPhone, and it was amazing, like literally amazing. Like even now, I still say that, if you think about the iPhone not only from mainstream standpoint, but from, especially from a disabled standpoint, it's literally changed people's lives. I know it changed my life. Um, you know, but like the iPhone, it just works. Everybody knows that. For the most part, it just works very well. Not much trouble. And that's great. Like that's one thing I love about the iPhone, how it just works. Like it's rarely slowed down on me. All that. But it's been the whole iPhone Android, iPhone versus Android debate, and the first time I tried Android was, gosh, it was 2013 on an LG Mach from Sprint, of all things. Yeah, I switched to Sprint because I don't know why, but anyway, obviously I've switched away from Sprint. But yes, I did try Sprint back in 2012, 2013. I don't know what I was doing, but anyway, yeah. So my first experience with Android was on an LG Mach, and at first it was pretty interesting, but the more I played with it, I was like, it's not as refined as the iPhone. I don't know when I'm gonna get a software update, different things like that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to my iPhone 5 or whatever it was at the time. So I did that, and then a few months later, I was like, let me check out this Samsung Galaxy S4 really fast. And I was checking it out. I was like, yeah, this Galaxy S4, it's really cool. I'm finding some GPS apps. I can use Eloquence again. But about a month down the road, I was like, yeah, Android still isn't as refined as I'd like it to be. So went back to the iPhone 5, whatever. And then 2014 got a Nexus 5, and but at this point it was still, still wasn't feeling it. It was a bit better, still wasn't enjoying it. And then in the end of 2016, I got hold of a secondhand Nexus 6P. And I played with it for a month. I was like, yeah, Android's pretty legit. Still isn't there. 2018, got a Galaxy S8. Had that for about 4 months. And the main switched away from that was Samsung's updating. It wasn't Android itself, it was how slow Samsung was to update, and I just didn't like it. So, and then in 2019, this year, I said I'm going to go get, see about getting me a Pixel phone because my iPhone 8 Plus, honestly, I'm just like, I mean, it's a great phone. I'm not trying to sound ungrateful here, but it's, after, almost 2 years of carrying the phone, I'm like, okay, this phone's getting kind of big. I want to get something a bit more manageable. So I picked up this Pixel 3a XL and, was able to set it up, everything out of the box, accessible, no problem. Um, cause all I did is I held in the volume buttons for a few seconds, and the talkback thing came up. So that was really cool. Um, so that was about 2 months ago. 2 months from yesterday, May 21st is when I got the Pixel 3a XL, and I just enjoy this phone. I've honestly enjoyed it. Um, I can't test the Braille support that well because my Braille display it's in need of repairs. I'm just not able to afford those repairs at the moment. So, but Android, it's awesome. I'm really enjoying it. Um, it's voiceover is a lot more forgiving than talkback. I've noticed that for sure. Um, what was I gonna say? My biggest thing about Android, and it's not. I'm not trying to say, I don't want this to be a complaint, but I wish talkback had something like voiceovers, two finger double tap. So you two finger double tap on the screen. It'll answer your phone call. It will stop and play and pause your music. It'll actually play and pause your camera, your camcorder as well, and your voice memo apps. But that magic tab on voiceover, it's a really nice feature, and I miss it from voiceover. When I'm on this phone, I was like, man, I wish this phone could do that. Because in order for me to answer a call, it is pretty consistent, but I have to swipe up with two fingers on the screen. And if I want to reject it, I have to do a two finger swipe down. Um, and if I want to end a call, I have to either, use the screen to find the button or use the power button to end my call, which is fine, but sometimes I forget I have it on and I'm using my headset and I hit the power button to lock my screen and my phone hangs up. I'm like, crap. So that's my only thing about Android. But other than that, oh, there is one more thing about Android, and I believe this is a bug with TalkBack and Chrome. But when I'm swiping right, the one finger flick, to explore the screen with TalkBack, and I'm using Chrome, it goes to the top of the page a lot. It doesn't keep its place. Like the focus is very jumpy. So if Google ends up watching this video, that's the best way I can explain it. And I will do a recording of it so you guys can hear what I'm referring to, because I think free to show a bug like this, it's really best to have this recorded live audio. So I'll get that this week. I'll capture the audio, and it will be an only audio only video. But I'll capture that bug live on camera. But yeah, this Pixel 3a, the battery life on it, I can get like 2 days off of it, like no problem. Two days just like that. Sometimes a day and a half. Whereas my 8 Plus, I was lucky to get a day. Um, and I'm very excited to see what Google does with Android Q in terms of TalkBack and the accessibility. So I'll definitely come here on YouTube and I'll share my thoughts on that with you guys as well. But so yeah, it's The speakers sound awesome on this phone. I love the headphone jack. I'm just gonna say it, I love the headphone jack, and that's the thing that drove me up the wall about my 8 Plus. I actually left an adapter in an airport hotel last year, so I was like, oh man, you know. So it's nice not having to use an adapter for my headset, things like that. So I'm having a really nice time with this Pixel 3a, and I love OK Google. Like that's my favorite. And I'm sure I probably just triggered somebody's Google, and I'm sorry, but yeah, yeah, that word is just awesome. It just it just blows Siri away. Like Siri, there's no way Siri can keep up with it. And even when I was on my iPhone, I would always use the Google app instead of Siri if I could. And I really hope in iOS 13 Apple does something with Siri. I've not been able to beta test iOS 13, but maybe once I get my money right, I might see about an iPod Touch or something. I'm not sure, but anyway, guys, this has been 1GBPS right here on the Blade with Austin Dice, and I think this was a pretty fun video. It was very impromptu. I wasn't even planning to go this long, but I was like, well, while we're on a roll, let's just do it. And if you guys deal with depression, you deal with PTSD, I'm with you, man. I know how depression and PTSD is. Sometimes it's everything, during the day just to even get out of the house. There's some times when I don't get out of the house for a week. It can get that bad, but I have to I have to rise above it. And that's what I'm doing, and that's why I'm getting here on YouTube, because I like to be here on YouTube. I like to talk to you guys. And speaking of talking with you guys, if you guys haven't done so, please give me a subscribe. And welcome to the new subscribers. Thank you guys so much. I'd like to get Patreon going. I'll have to see what I can do, but maybe in the future, maybe have it set up to where somebody can pay, I don't know, maybe like $25 or $30, and maybe get you on Team Talk or the phone or whatever you want, and you could be my co-host. That might be something in the future we might be able to do here on the Blade. So you guys can go 1GBPS with me. You can we can expand our horizons together, if you will, or we can slice up the sports, whatever you guys want. So we'll that's something I'd love to do, is to start bringing people live on the air, because it would be fun. But I just miss doing podcasts. I used to have so much fun, and I just got so lazy, and things happened. But now I'm, I want to work to get myself, back, being on YouTube, on YouTube consistently. Maybe get on a podcast with somebody else. And we'll just have to see how it goes, man. I'm excited for the future, and I'm thankful for you guys' support. It really does mean so much to me. This YouTube is like literally all I have at the moment. I'm gonna see about getting me a job. There's some things I've come across, and it's just been a rough year for me, man. I won't lie to you guys. It's been extremely rough. It's extremely rough, if I could talk properly. And and I just appreciate you guys sticking with me here on YouTube, and I hope that you guys will tell your friends, hey, there's some blind guy that I watch, and yeah, he might ramble, but he tells some pretty interesting stories. And speaking of stories, I was living Moss at Taco Bell one day, so go and check that out. I think it's the video right after. I think I covered that in the 1GBPS show. Can't remember what video that was covered in. It was either, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the 1GBPS that was covered. So if you guys want to hear about me calling the cops for my Apple Watch, go check out that 1GBPS show. It could be very interesting. Or maybe it was the video before that. I really can't remember off the top of my head, but it's in my last 2 videos. So go check that out, man. Go hear about that missed call I had. That near call that I had with the police in Valrico, Florida. It wasn't as bad, but as I'm making out to be, kind of hyping it up a little bit. But you guys go check out that story, because it's a pretty funny story. And this has been 1GBPS. and my mind feels like it's gone 1 Gbps after doing this show. But it's been fun, you guys, and I'll see you guys very soon. We got more Rocket League coming up. We got streams of audio games coming up. Gonna do maybe a little bit of Audio Quake or something like that. It's always a fun game. Or whatever game you guys want to see me play. I could attempt to play whatever game you want. If I can get my hands on it, I'll play it on the channel. So may get some emulators going and things like that too, because I do have emulators. So yeah, we're gonna have some fun on this channel, you guys. I'm glad I could change the name, call it The Blade. I'm excited, man. I'm really excited. So I'll see you guys whenever I get back here on YouTube. Hopefully this week, if not this week, the next week. But you guys turn on those bells, whatever you need to do, and that way you can be notified when I drop some new content here on the channel. And it's gonna be fun. I'm excited. So guys, I will see you guys later on. I gotta go finish watching Saturday's New Japan event. About to watch oh man, wow, their names just escape me. Sonata and Ibushi. That's what I'm about to watch. It's gonna be hot. So been loving New Japan. Definitely gonna cover that here on YouTube as well. And hoping to be able to cover New Japan with one of my best friends. It'd be such a fun podcast, and hoping to do things like that as well. But anyway, guys, I gotta 1 Gbps myself out of here before I talk you guys' ears off for too long. And I'll see you guys on the flip side. All right, you guys have a good one, and I'll see you later. Peace.